Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. We got ourselves an interview with license plate guy. We're going to talk about the softball game, Saquon, McKinney, pick six, all that good stuff. And then we got to talk about Joe Schoen's press conference at the Combine. Justin, how are you?
Bobby Skinner, I'm good. 2024 John Boy Media Scouting Combine just dropped on Tuesday. The 40-yard dash is on Tuesday. The passing accuracy challenge is Wednesday at 4 p.m., and then we'll do a relay race on Thursday, all released at 4 p.m. on the JM Football channel. I think it's one of the best weeks of the year. The fact that it's all on JM Football this year, I love. It's in one place. It's more competitive, and it's even more fun than it's been in previous years. So check it out. Link will be in the description for the 40-yard dash, and I like that we've kind of built up my 40-yard dash to be like a thing every year. So check it out.
More competitive than the real Combine that's happening this week?
Honestly, yeah, it's probably like more fun, especially because you have the people that show up, you have no choice but to compete. You can't say, no, I only want to do this, even though somebody, Joe's McFly, did tear up his shit.
On purpose?
Maybe.
This episode was brought to you by some special people. Michael Aquino.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Clayton Snyder. Should we do the exact same just monologue about how cool the name Clayton is? Thank you, Clayton. You're a pretty cool dude. And then John Scannell. Justin, who are these people?
Do you think Clayton
also,
subscribed?
I need to say a thank you to one other person who's already a Patreon member. But, Justin, Shane O'Connor joined the family tier.
Oh!
Third person to ever do it. Now, the other people that did it only lasted a month or two, which is way more than enough. But it's happened. I was shocked to see the notification. So a special thank you to Shane O'Connor.
I mean, do we need to plan on a live stream with Shane in like the month of
yeah, I'm getting him a
June?
shirt and all that stuff, and then we'll figure it out if if and when if he wants to do a live stream.
Yeah, if he wants
and
to
all
do
that
it.
stuff. So.
Ryan Fowler, breaking news. Sources, LSU QB Jaden Daniels has formal meetings scheduled with the Giants, Vikings, Saints, and Patriots this evening.
Way. That's wild, Justin. Who are those people that brought us this episode?
Do you think Clayton subscribed because we talked about how great of a name Clayton is
obviously.
last week? Patreon.com/TalkinGiants for $2 a month plus month tiers to get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail, plus there's some shirt raffles a couple times a month. Patreon.com/TalkinGiants.
All right, so Joe Schoen had his press conference, and then as most Joe Schoen press conferences, you don't get a ton of info out of it, but you can read the tea leaves on some things. So there's no real clarification on, how they view quarterback, and there shouldn't be. If there's one thing I want them to not be honest about is their draft strategy. He did say he hasn't met with McKinney's and Saquon's representatives about negotiations haven't started on those. Those happened at the Combine, which is very funny because I think he was referencing my tweet saying that the negotiations have started because of McKinney's tweets. The big piece of information he gave away, Justin, was about Shane Bowen and how they're going to look for players. Is they're going to look for outside linebackers who are, rushing the passer a little more, first and second down. We're trying to get after the passer a little more, which sounds weird because, Wink got after the passer. But I think it's more so guys will have the green light to just rush the passer and not have to be solely focused on the run, which I don't know if I totally agree with, but it's like that was a big piece of information. Like now I'm like, okay, Kayvon's got the green light to maybe even work outside in a little more when, they're, teaching him to, play the edge, play your keys.
Yeah.
And then changes how I know they're not going to take Latu at 6, but if they were picking at 14, I'd be like, oh, Latu's like in play here.
Yeah, and, even when we're talking about allocation of resources, right, and we're talking about an edge rusher room that is very iffy on depth and an interior defensive line room that even though it has Dex and he's the elite player, is still very iffy on depth. Now I'm very much leaning that if they're going to invest something that's maybe a little bit bigger, whether that be free agency or, a higher draft pick, I'm leaning the edge room. Because if you want to put more linebackers on the field, and if you want to, give your linebackers more freedom, your edge rushers more freedom to go after the quarterback, then that's what's going to be more valuable for you, especially when you already have Dexter Lawrence on your team. So, that was the biggest piece, I guess, schematic-wise and philosophically. what Joe Schoen had to say. I mean, we know that they like invested in the interior defense alignment, and I know that they ran those 3 interior defense alignment sets. I think they may have done it a little bit more in 2022 than 2023, but that was certainly a big piece.
Yeah, so I think we'll see more stunts on first and second down too. I think that's a part of it. Now, when you hear that at first, you're like, well, we didn't stop the run the last 2 years under Wink, and Shane Bowen's defenses have stopped the run. I think that's a little personal. It's just kind of how you set up your fronts and, teach your edge rushers, and then, like I said, stunts. Because even though the Giants couldn't stop the run very well with Wink, they always had like number 1 run defenses in Baltimore with Wink. I think it was a little some personnel issues, but I thought that was the most telling thing. He gave a no answer on Brian Daboll calling plays, saying that they haven't discussed that, that's Shane's go-to line when he doesn't want to answer. It's like, we haven't discussed that.
It's a line.
And then with Mike Kafka, basically like mentioned, oh yeah, he's going to be a head coach. We're setting him up to be a head. There does seem to, like we've talked about, where it's like, okay, we understand the situation was bad last year. Like there is efforts to make amends and make it work with Mike Kafka, while also being like, maybe this isn't forever, and hopefully we can catapult you into a head coaching job, even though we're probably taking away play calling from you.
I almost think that's their reasoning. Their reasoning of taking away play calling is setting you. Oh, we want to form you as a head coach, Mike Kafka. We don't just want to form you as an offensive play caller. We want to form you as a head coach, which that actually may set him up for more long-term success, not just being an offensive play caller. But at the end of the day, we know that Mike Kafka wants to call the offense right now.
Well, that would help him get a better head coaching job. But
right.
I think they're putting out a thing of like, well, yeah, just because we're doing that doesn't mean we don't really like him. He's a bright young mind. So right. that dynamic is going to be a huge thing to follow throughout the season on what happens with Mike Kafka. Was there anything else of note that you really pulled from it?
You mentioned the Daboll calling plays and the fact that Joe Schoen, he did confirm that he was on the coach's headset for the Washington game.
For fun and superstition.
Yeah, they won, and he was superstitious, so he stayed on until they lost. Something I've always wanted to do. Nothing sparked it, and it's funny. Research Rick in the replies. It's like, 6 preseason games, 27 regular season games, and 1 playoff and 2 playoff games. Nothing sparked it necessarily. It was just the
Listen,
timing.
Babe,
of
this GPS on your car is just for fun. Like I like to just kind of track. I just like tracking GPSs.
So that was that. Expect the front to attack more, read and react under from Wink. And then the one final thing. This is I actually really do recommend reading Pat Leonard's article. It has some extra stuff besides just Daniel Jones and Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley.
They also do after the press conference. He talks with the beat reporters on the side off mic too. So
I think they on the side they asked Joe Schoen about trading up from number 6 to number 3 like the Jets did for Sam Darnold, because I know I think we're gonna really get a good idea of if the Giants don't trade up within the next 1 to 2 weeks in the draft. Odds are they're not going to trade up. Still could happen, but odds are, like a lot of the previous other deals that teams have traded up kind of drastically, it's happened during this stretch of time. So really got an indication that I don't think it's going to happen for the Giants right now, because Shane mentioned, and this is a direct quote, I think it's at that position. It's a different stratosphere. Quarterback, I guess he's referencing. You got to get around these kids, and you got to get to know them. And until you're able to do that, it's hard to make those types of moves. So we're still going through the process at the time in Buffalo to get around those prospects. And then once we were comfortable, that's when you make that type of move. This is the start. There's a lot of these prospects. It's the first time we're going to get around them, blah, blah, blah. So we know from the fact that look at that top 30 list the last 2 years, the last 2 draft classes, and how many of those draft picks and how many of those guys on that top 30 picks wound up being Giants. They really haven't met with anybody yet, besides the guys at the Senior Bowl. None of those guys at the Senior Bowl are candidates for being a top 6 pick, and none of them were the top 3 quarterbacks. So I don't think a trade up is going to happen. Knowing that Joe Schoen likes to meet with these guys, they like to have extensive conversations with them, know who they are as a person. They're not going to make such a drastic move to trade up without knowing exactly who they would want to get in that scenario. And there's not enough time.
Basically, you don't know who's going to be the first 2 guys, and you don't want to, you don't want to trade up to 3 because you think the Commanders are going Jaden Daniels.
Right.
And then 2 weeks from now, it's like, oh, no, they're actually going to go Drake May. And so now you will take Jaden Daniels, who would be the guy that they wanted less. So I don't see a trade up happening anyway. I really don't think any of those top 3s are trading out unless they get a king's ransom. And I don't believe the Giants are willing to do that. So, anything else from it?
No, I think that's basically it. There was a lot of, if you want to hear the stuff that he said about Daniel Jones, they have faith on Daniel Jones. He's starting to throw stationary, and then he's
going to be ready for camp. I don't know why anyone ever doubted that Daniel Jones wouldn't be ready for camp, but I'm just kind of like Daniel Jones, Joe Shane questions. I'm burnt. Like I honestly tune those parts out because I'm not reading into any of that.
Yeah, he values Saquon Barkley the same way that he valued him last year. I don't really put much stock into what he said about Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney. I actually think that he's also lying about talking to the. I think that they have been talking to the representatives.
He said he's talked with McKinney, but he hasn't talked with the representatives, or negotiations haven't started. So,
which I think that's a lie.
Yeah, there has been some negotiations, but it's just a good way of not answering the question, like, oh, we'll talk with these guys down there, which they will talk with them down there and maybe iron some stuff out. But
yeah.
All right, Justin, before we get into license plate guy, why don't you talk to us about something?
I'll talk to you about the DraftKings Sportsbook, and I want you to get in on the action with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. So I want you to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WORLD. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code WORLD. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. One no-sweat bet per new customer, issued as one bonus bet based on amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/promos for deposit, wagering, and eligibility restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Bobby Skinner, you'll be glad you did, and let's talk to License Plate Guy.
And here's License Plate Guy. All right, we now welcome back onto the show, talking Giants Ring of Honor member, Joe Rubach, License Plate Guy. Man, your softball game is back, and I want to talk all about that. I'm so excited because your last year doing it was in 2019, and that's when we first, I was first on Twitter and stuff, and I was like, man, I had a lot of FOMO not going, and was so excited to go, and so I'm really pumped to get back to it. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. Look, I'm glad to be back at it. It was a sick couple of years. I mean, meeting Landon Collins that year that we started it in 17, he was already knew him, but he was back. We were at the Pro Bowl, and he's like, come on, man, let's do something. And I was like, I really want to get some kind of a charity thing going. And we got this game going, and, within a few short years, we had raised really a great amount of money, over $100,000 for charity. And to be hanging around with, 75 to 100 New York Football Giants was unbelievable. So, fast forward a couple of years to 19 was the last one. COVID hit, and I tried to get the game last year, and I actually was talking to both Barkley's side and Jones' side, and to be honest with you, you guys know how the offseason was with that. Like, one, I didn't even know if either of them were going to be Giants. So it just fell through. It didn't really amount to anything. And, I waited one more year, and Dex and I started talking, and we had a couple of meetings, and he, thank God he was there his rookie year. So he knows what it's all about.
Yeah, one of the few guys left from that team.
Yeah, correct. And, I'm not going to lie. When I first decided to ask him, I totally forgot that he was at the game. But then I was looking through pictures and I was like, oh my God, like Dex went into the crowd and signed autographs. So he had a good time. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it. And he's actively involved in everything that we're getting together, and he's pretty pumped up about it. So I'm happy about that.
And this feels like the perfect pairing, Joe, where, I even saw like the promo video of Brandon Jacobs and Dex going face to face with each other. And it's like, you know what, even though, Jacobs obviously being Jacobs just isn't your normal running back too. 260-pound running back in his day. So I feel like these two guys, even though like personality wise, they're different, but it just feels right that these two guys are the face of it, and, and they're going to be running it with you.
Dude,
what is it for people that may not know, like what is, because people just listen like, what are they talking about, some baseball game? What is it?
Yeah, no, oh shoot, Bobby, that's, first of all, Justin, you're so right, being different, and they definitely are different. Like Brandon is just out there, and he's just out there, and I love him for that. Dex is not. And it's funny that you said, you look at Brandon, he's just a monster.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, maybe one day I'll get, I don't know, the Wan'Dale Robinson game just so we could be next to Brandon and Jacobs like this. But Bobby, thank you. And I totally lose sight of that. It's not like everybody knows about it. So basically, going back to what I told you, Landon Collins and I started to do this celebrity softball game in 2017. It literally is a day of fun. I mean, we have it at this stadium called Clover Stadium. It's the same stadium that it's been at for years. They just changed the name of it. It's in Pomona, New York, about 35, 40 minutes from any airport except JFK. So, it's easy to get to. Basically, the game consists of the current Giants, led by Dexter Lawrence, and versus Brandon Jacobs and the Super Bowl 42 and 46 champs, with some sprinkled in Giants greats. Like, I'll go over my umpiring crew in a second, or I'll let you guys do it, since you guys are breaking the news on that tonight, I heard. And, we play, the gates open around 2:30, something like that. Dodgeball starts at 5:00, home run derby at 6, and the softball game at 7.
I am so pumped. I was mad. I was one of the first people to buy tickets, but I didn't get the first row behind home plates, but I got second row. Like, I couldn't get those tickets fast enough. I'm so excited to go there and be there. Explain the ticketing situation this year, because you're doing it a little different too.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer of general admission. I really try and keep it relatively low, because I've always wanted a family of 3 or 4 to be able to afford to go to this game. You go to a football game now, guys, you got to be a millionaire. I mean, it's silly you can't take your family. I could tell you that. I mean, I travel to away games and it's violently expensive. And so I really tried to keep the tickets low and make it general admission. But I got to tell you, I was in a meeting with Dex and Brandon and the ticket people and some other people that were giving their 2 cents. And they're right. Like, those that were there were at previous years. And when you had general admission, you would run to go get your seat. The hell with you, kid. The hell with you, grandma. They would run down to get their seat. And, fast forward to the second inning, if I saw Dex in the crowd, over on the third base side, I would leave my seat to go. And the fights that took place, not physical, but the arguments that would take place, like, hey, I was sitting there, I don't see your name on it. It really made sense that this year is just going to be different. And you buy a seat and a row and a seat number, just like you would any other game. And I was, it took me a while, because I don't really like change. So it took me a while, and I came around, and it's the right way to do it. So, down low was like 50, 55, and then 45 and 35. So it's still affordable. I still got my $30 to $35 range tickets in there. And up close, where Giants are probably going to go over to the wall or get on the dugout and sign for people. And you get what you pay for, kind of.
Well, at 55, I think the most expensive ones are $55. Like, that's the closest some people will ever get to those Giants players, right? Like, even, you're going to be closer than you are in training. I think it's going to be more, and in training camp, I know they do the little high five thing, but they're very much like locked into practice, right? Where I think they're going to be having fun, talking with people, signing autographs, So I'm really excited for it. Are we getting our boy Gates back for it? Because he is the defending home run champion.
He was. It's so funny you said that. He's literally one of my first text messages because, I didn't say it too kindly. I was just like, look, I hope you get cut because I need you at the game, the softball game. And he's like, shut up. But, not only did he win home run derby, he was the only guy so far to hit it out of the park. So he literally took the softball and hit it out of the stadium. Now, look, we're not talking Yankee Stadium, but we're talking a nice stadium. Those that want to look it up, I mean, it's Clover Stadium where the New York Boulders play. It's a nice stadium.
It's a minor league park, right?
It's a minor league park. We're not playing in some high school park. So yeah, I need him back. I really do. I really hope he can make it. But don't forget the reason why I do it in May/June is because it's OTAs. It's very easy to get the current team there. And I don't have to fly in 30 more players for the game. So that's the reason why we have it. And you're right. I really have to start looking at things like you do, Bobby, to be honest with you, because I love that you said it might be the closest that some fans get. And you're right. They're locked into camp and they're sweaty and they're gross and their autographs come out terrible. Here, they literally take their time. A lot of Giants went on to the dugout and signed for fans. It's not an autograph, show. But when you say that it's not an autograph show, it kind of makes them want to sign more, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart and not for,
correct.
Like, it's not transactional. It's not transactional.
It's not. You're right. And a lot of people, like I told you, like Dex went into the crowd. Brandon, a ton of Giants went into the crowd. And Eli, when he was there, he signed for like a half hour in one spot. I mean, that's a long time. JPP, when he got on the dugout, he signed for over an hour. He didn't move. He literally stayed there for an hour. That's a long time to be signing on top of a dugout.
Yeah.
So
all right,
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Let's break some news. I'm partially a little offended, Joe. I don't know if you see that I am a part-time umpire myself. We have a warehouse at John Boy Media, and I wear my Oakley sunglasses, and I have a grand old time. It's my field. It's my rules. So slightly offended that I'm not considered to be an umpire, but let's break some rules. Let's break some news. Who are going to be some of the umpires that we have coming up for the game?
All right. So, well, first of all, let's break the biggest news, and that is that I was going to offer you, Justin, to be, not only the live stream in case the umps get it wrong, that they quickly go to you for the replay. So if you want to
love that.
Exactly. So if you wanted to be official, so you have to give me some time before attacking.
Justin, you need to just show up in the outfit anyways. And
I had some big plans for Talking Giants. So yeah, look, we put together an umpire crew. Some have been here for a couple of years now, but at first base, we have Joe Morris. Because Joe wanted the shortest walk out to the field, so that was first base for him. So I let him rock with that. Second base is a toss-up, between Rodney Hampton and Stephen Baker, and the same thing at third, Rodney Hampton, Stephen Baker, and home plate goes to Super Bowl 25 MVP Otis Anderson, and he's back again, and he loves doing it. And he causes a lot of grief back there. He wants the game over with. He calls a lot of strikes.
You gotta call a good game. So Otis Anderson, Rodney Hampton, Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker. Maybe we'll the ejection maker or something.
And Justin Penick.
We have to get one player like that. Actually, that's a good. We can conspire. Which player will take the game so serious that if he gets ejected, he'll actually be bothered?
All right, that is a great question. So a lot of people don't mess with Soybert. Now, Soybert is the other pitcher for the other team. I pitch for one team. Soybert pitches for the other. And and Soybert, like Eli Manning got up and he hit an infield shot, and he crossed first, and it was a bang bang play, but Sorbert was screaming out, like out. And of course, it's Eli Manning. He was safe no matter what. But Soybert might be the one that's got to get kicked out. I just need another pitcher that's not that's willing to get hurt.
Yeah, so that'd be a good conspiracy. You get all the other O-line guys would be right in on that conspiracy to just we'll get Soybert kicked out.
I think so.
So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm honestly looking forward to this more than I am the NFL draft or free agency or even training camp. Just like getting to this softball game, because I think it's like I'm telling you, when I remember watching the clips on social media, and I was like, I am so sad that I'm not here and able to do this. So we got our tickets.
It's kind of like a perfect timing too, because it gives us enough time to get over the disaster of the season. Some of us are in that now. We still got a lot of more time. Plus,
I'll tell you what, this season for some reason, maybe it's because we won the year before, so you got a little taste of winning.
That's correct.
It's usually it's like, all right, season over, let's move on. This year, it's kind of left me in a little like of a fuzz, of a hangover. Like, man, that season really was not fun.
Just curious, both of you, like, what game in that season sticks with you the most? Last season.
Oh, it's the Dallas game.
Week one.
I think it's unanimous, and I guess if we polled that, and I would like you guys to put out a poll, like getting geared up for the season, and for that to happen open night. Yeah, I think 99% of the fan base is going to say week one.
I think it ended. I think almost the season ended that night.
It was tough. It was tough to get by it. It really was. Like Bobby just said, you won last season. And like you said, Justin, week one comes, it's like, are you shitting me? That literally tore our hearts out and just threw it on the ground and lit it on fire.
Joe, you were there during the summer. I mean, we there was actually a practice, my one on the ground practice. So we were hanging out together, and you take some terrible pictures of me. Oh my God, just really bad angles. I forgot about that. But anyway, we were there this summer, Joe, and they looked good. And I guarantee you, we're sitting there saying that they looked good. Even the people that like to say they don't look good, they were saying they looked good. And I'm willing to bet that they knew that they looked good too, and that they had confidence. And then for that night to come out that first night, and to lose in that fashion, I mean, I know it's a long season. It's a long season, but it's a short season. But you can't help but feel like it almost ended that night, especially with the confidence that they kind of had that summer, and even winning the playoff game the year before.
And that's the key right there, is why wouldn't they have confidence?
Right.
They came off, and yes, confidence. How could you have confidence? You got blown out by Phil. I understand that. I really do. But coming off of what we went through as a fan base and as a team, and then to come in and beat Minnesota and come in, forget about the Philly game. I want to just talk about where they got to, and then to come into the summer. You're right. But you know what? I also believe that going into this summer, that should put a little more caution on all of us. Like, okay, great. They look great, but who do they look great against? Their own? Okay, Trey Hawkins, he might be the greatest player in the history of the NFL. Okay, in camp. Caution. Darren Waller, can't cover him. He's uncoverable. He's open literally everywhere he goes. Again, caution. So, and you know me, I'm the biggest homer that there is. I don't have any caution. And come freaking June, I'm going to be out there going, oh my God, these guys look unstoppable. They win a Super Bowl. And I don't care. I'm going to do it every single year until they win a Super Bowl. Again.
I interviewed Snee a couple weeks ago.
I saw it. It was a great interview.
I was asking him about it, and I had a moment that hit me like, man, the Tyree play was a long time ago. Like, this is a long time ago at this point, where it always kind of felt fresh. And then the last few years, like, man, we are getting further and further away from these highlights being like really old school. Saquon and McKinney, those are the big free agents for the Giants. Who do you think is back, or neither?
It's really hard to say. The Shane and Dable are saying all the right things. Well, Shane is saying all the right things. Of course,
Yeah.
they want him back. I think that both had their time to get it done. I want to stop going back to Barkley making the wrong decision. That was what he thought was right at that time. Hindsight, obviously, he should have signed the long-term deal, but whatever. The Giants put a good offer on the table next, and then it got pulled, and then we all know the running back, market went in absolute shitter, and guess what? It's not getting any better for Barkley. You have 5-6 running backs that are going to have new teams possibly, and that is going to kill the market, in my opinion. It's not going to help it, obviously. You're not looking at let me tell you something. I don't know what Shane has in store for offering Barkley, but I think if it's reasonable, Saquon Barkley better take that deal. And I don't know what it is. I'm not even going to sit here and attempt to tell you that I think I know, but if it's any bit close to 10, which I don't think it will be, he should take it. And that's far off, my friend, of where we were just a year ago.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything this offseason. We really have not heard anything of like that would point to it now. So when you read the situation, like, okay, it makes sense to let him walk. He's probably going to get a better offer in free agency. But I've operated under the mindset of these two sides can't quit each other. And that even if they both, it would be better off for Saquon in his football career to leave the Giants right now. The Giants, it might be a better opportunity for them to just let him walk. But I just think both these sides can't quit each other. Like they're in like a bad relationship where, they should take some time off and then Saquon come back and have his post-career as a New York Giant. But
and
they don't want to do that.
And there lies the problem, okay? This is what Giant fans are going to complain about, and rightfully so. When is it cut ties? Do the Giants ever just cut ties? Is it time to cut ties with Barkley, who's going to be, 28 when he suits up again? Okay? Is it time that we're not holding on to 1, 2, 3 players while the rest of it burns down around them? And I don't have those answers, man. I wish I did. And I also subscribe to what you're saying. It's a match if it could work for both. It's funny, we're sitting here talking the last 5 minutes about Saquon Barkley, and you asked me about the other guy, and that's McKinney. The question I have there is, I personally think McKinney will shine brighter in not a wink defense. And that's a given, right? Because he's not left on some island while they're sending the house. And that was the whole thing. The problem what drove McKinney crazy and probably is the number one person celebrating that Wink is no longer here. With that said, Bobby, you got to ask yourself, is Xavier McKinney a top 5 corner safety in the league? And if he is, then you're going to pay him $16 million a year. If he's not, he's going to wind up falling in the 12, 13, 14 range. And if that long-term deal could get done, I would do it. But I don't have him. I don't know. You have him top 5?
I mean, I'd have to go through, but no, I don't view him as one of the top safeties. You have Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jesse Bates, who got that $16 million last year.
Correct.
Guys who I view as better than him. But we did our most recent episode was on the pending free agents, and McKinney is a 24-year-old do-it-all type of player. And You know what? He is going to thrive in a different defense compared to, think about that last year with Patrick Graham, some of the things that he was doing. It was awesome stuff.
Yep.
And that was in a year where he started the season bad. And then it started to click with him in that defense, and he was able to become a real playmaker. So him being a do-it-all type player, 24 years old, going into a defense, I would, and the cap inflating, I think that's a part that gets forgotten in it, is that,
True.
Last offseason, would I give him the 4 years with $16 million per year? No. But this offseason with the cap inflated, I would be willing to go up to that just to get it done. But I do think I agree with you. Like he belongs in the 13 to 14 mil per year. But with the Giants not needing a bunch of guys down the pike that need to sign, I'd be willing to sacrifice $2 million per year just to get a deal done and not have to go through the tag and all that stuff.
Right. And if great point. And if we're dealing with $2 million, then there's always massage room. I'll give you 10 more at the end. Which you'll never see. I'll give you 14 more guaranteed. There's always that room that you could use on players. And I believe, and I also believe that he's going to get better in this system. I really
think that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah. So
and he was really good in Wink's system. He just didn't have a bunch of stats that showed that how good he was playing.
Okay, time out. And that right there is why players are having these problems with defensive coordinators or head coaches or whatever. Dude, what are you doing? You're crushing my numbers. Stop calling that. And I'm telling you it happened because I know it happened during the season, and a lot of things were brushed under the rug. And, hopefully, more things will come to light, but that is what killed McKinney. And that is what he had such disdain for Wink. So here we are in a new system. And just like you both said, and I agree, I think he's going to get better. So, but it's what he's worth.
How much was there friction between those two? Because now I say all these things about McKinney, right? Like how much I want him back. I also can acknowledge that I think he's a bit of a pain in the ass, and I think he talks too much, and not just talking, like throwing guys under the, like he did it to Judge and Graham on their way out, there was ways that they should have been trash talked. The things he was saying didn't make sense. He had a couple quotes, and then the one with the Wink really blew up, and then Wink went and spent 10 minutes bitching about it. Was it because of the defense, or was McKinney bothered by Wink's 10-minute press conference, basically making McKinney look like a fool, who I think was a fool in that situation? Like, what was the stem of that? And
that's 100% on field, 100% calls, 100% on field, 100% disagree with alignment, 100% disagree with play calling.
Which is very funny because he had the same type of complaint. He did the same thing to the last coaching stuff. So that's the part that bothers me about McKinney. But I don't think he's like a team cancer or someone. I think he's just going to be kind of a pain in the ass if the Giants are losing.
He did the same thing to the last coaching staff, and that was the staff, and with Graham, where he put up the interceptions and the box score stats that would directly lead you to be a top 5, top 3 paid safety in the NFL. So it's a little ironic, and he could be a little hard to read sometimes.
Yeah, but I did this because if you really sit there and talk about who McKinney was talking about, we're talking coaches, right?
Right.
Has McKinney thrown a player under the bus?
They asked, after that Miami game, they asked him a question that had nothing to do with the offense, and he's like, what we're not going to do is blame the defense type thing. So indirectly,
right.
Yeah, but not any person, not any individual player or anything like that.
Right, so why I bring that up is he's still a captain and liked by many.
I don't think he's a leader, though.
Okay,
in my opinion.
You know what? I think he
or
wants
a good leader
to,
at least.
I know. I think he wants to lead by his play on the field, and when your play is getting, I guess, suffered by some calling, he will voice that. A lot of players won't. Right. I don't think you should. That's 100% in-house. But there, hey Bobby, let's say he didn't voice those things. Let's say he never got in any kind of problems with Wink. Is now he is 16 with no problem? Or is he at 13, 14 now with a little bit of a look? We're going back and forth. Like, is he a leader? Is he not a leader?
I think it would be a lot easier for the Giants to swallow their pride on that. And we haven't even mentioned the ATV accident in that either. I think it'd be a lot easier for them to swallow their pride if you didn't have all those things. So that's why I'm not like 100% sure something does get done, because I think they can fall back. I don't know. I'm guessing at this point, but it'll be interesting.
Hey, there's some good free agent safeties out there. Actually, there's one that there is one.
Or any 24-year-old I see those are guys that other
You already
teams let
brought him
go
up.
though.
Say it. Say it.
24-year-old guys you drafted.
No, bring up the.
And can do it all.
True. Bring up the one safety you brought up a couple weeks ago because that's the one I'm thinking of. What's his name?
Antoine Winfield is a free agent.
Yeah, he's gonna get tagged though.
He's definitely gonna tag. No, you brought him up once and I forgot. Well, whatever.
Maybe Geno
I'll
Stone from the Ravens.
I'll remember when we keep going.
L'Jarius Sneed was a corner that we talked about. But I mean the thing is, Joe. I mean, we talked about this with Barkley about picking and choosing. Kyle Duggar of the Patriots.
Correct.
Bring back Jabril Peppers. He wants to come back. We were talking about this. I think he still has a house in New Jersey. We were talking about this with Barkley, but picking and choosing some players that you want to come back, but it still is important to retain your own and bring back your own because it's been so rare that we've had like these young picks that we've kind of hit on, and I think that's why, at least in McKinney's case, because he's younger, because he's in a position that you can play into your 30s, and now especially because we have Bowen's system, which we've seen safeties that are successful under Bowen's system. That's why I think it's imperative that McKinney comes back, even though we're kind of nitpicking and we're kind of talking about the what he said about Wink and the coaching staff and throwing some people under the bus.
Yeah. Hey, look, we could talk all we want about what he said about Wink. Wink's not here anymore. So now we all can throw Wink under the bus, right? So
that's right.
Yeah, right. And so he's going to he'll be on board with the new defense until he's not.
Until he's not.
Who do you want at 6, assuming the top 3 are go quarterback? Gotta get you on record.
Thank you for adding that in there. By the way, that I appreciate that. I want the tackle.
Which one? All
I want Joe
Fashanu?
No.
Who?
I want all.
I haven't watched him yet, so I can't give you a full answer on that.
I want to build a brick fucking wall.
And people hate on that, and
a brick wall. Don't overthink it. Now look, if the Giants wound up and saved money and Waller left and they picked the tight end, I would like it too. Believe it or not, I wouldn't kill myself, but I would like it. But look.
Do you think Waller's back?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I do not. I don't. I think it was a great pickup. It was like, let's see if we catch lightning in a bottle. The lightning is no longer in a bottle, and rap careers just don't work here. So if I go one step further, ask me your question again without the quarterbacks being taken 1, 2, 3.
Who do you want at 6?
Man, I would love Joe Alt, bro. No, so look, I am definitely afraid of Daniel Jones' injury, his neck. I've been on record a number of times. I don't care. I think his knee is going to come back healthy as can be. I think another tackle wrong and his neck is going to sit him out another half a season or even longer. And therefore, you don't always get to pick at 6. And there's a monster quarterback on the board, and the Giants like him. I want quarterback.
Yeah, I'm in that situation too, where I'd like them to get into the top 3.
If they have to trade up a little bit, but I'm also, you can't. I wanna go on record. I don't want to be one of these guys that are like, well, I definitely want to go. I want the Giants to trade up to top 3, but I can't give away the house. Yeah, well, you have to give away the house.
No.
Okay, so stop. Anybody out there, stop saying you don't want to get. You want to be in the top 3, or you don't want to be in the top 3. That's it. Now, obviously, it's got to make sense. And do people know that when you go up in the draft to move up, it's calculated. There are numbers. There are draft picks that you give up. It's not like somebody is on the other end, like draft day, and say, I want my picks back, all of them. It's not, you give up what you're supposed to give up. You're not giving up 10 years worth of number 1s.
Unless you're the Carolina Panthers, you throw in DJ Moore in for some godforsaken reason.
Correct. But at the end of the day, I want a quarterback. if the Giants, let's say, give me one of the names. I don't care who. Give me one. Maine,
For a
give me one.
quarterback,
Anybody.
Drake May.
Yep.
Drake May. He's the guy
Okay.
I like.
So, okay. So do I. So let's say he is there at 4 and the Giants are still sitting at 6. You throw in another draft pick. Do you go up and do you get him at 4? Or do you stay where you are at 6?
I'd have to see like what the chart has right in front of you. But essentially, I'd be able to give up.
Chart? You mean chart of what you're giving up?
Yeah. So like,
Okay,
what are we
right.
giving up a next year's first and a second or 3 seconds? You know, like the Jets, like the Jets Colts trade from 2018. I would do that in a heartbeat from 6 to 3.
In a heartbeat. Justin, what about you?
I just want Brian Dable to be the one to work with that quarterback. And if that involves, and here's the thing, I think this year's draft is a little bit different with the Caleb Williams effect, with the Drake May effect, and with the Jaden Daniels effect. I think this draft may be a little bit different in terms of that chart and that, you know, the value of this pick. It could be a little different because of, like, you know, when was the last time you had a trio of 3 quarterbacks with all of these traits? I'm not even saying that they're going to be great quarterbacks, but the thing that entices you about those top 3, especially if you're a Giants fan, where Brian Dable is your head coach and Mike Kafka is your offense coordinator and Shea Tierney is your quarterback coach, is that you see what Brian Dable is able to do with quarterbacks. You see it with Josh Allen. You saw it with Jones in 2022. You even saw it with Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito this past year. If you give Brian Dable a quarterback with the traits of that those quarterbacks have, the top 3 have, that is the thing that gets me most excited, revved up, and fired up. So it may cost.
Who's your quarterback?
Well, I mean, obviously it's Caleb, but that's not happening. I just started watching May, and I'm leaning a little bit more towards Jaden Daniels right now than May, but that could change.
So Jaden Daniels because of his athleticism, because Maine has a better arm, in my opinion.
I think it's a better arm. I think he can, you know, he moves really well. And I think it's so easy. Like, there's so little wasted movement. I mean, it's a flick of a wrist.
I do agree with Justin on Williams, because what you're supposed to do, I do. I don't know if you're supposed to. You're supposed to go back. You know, nobody saw. Okay, what's his name in freaking Houston, Stroud coming out and doing what he did, right? So go back, and would you take Caleb Williams number 1 last year?
Yeah, almost every
Correct. There
besides Andrew Luck.
There you go. So he is a bona fide number 1. And be honest with you, he has certainly come out and said he didn't want to play. I don't want to play for Chicago. I do not want to play for the Bears. I do not want to play for the Bears. I do not want to play. He's going to the Bears. The Bears are finally going to do what is right. They're not going to he's taking all kind of phone calls. The guy's going to take Caleb Williams, and Justin Fields is going to look for another team.
Yeah.
Last question. Can we also finally set up the celebrity boxing match of Brandon Jacobs and Mark Colombo at the softball game?
Yeah, I remember you talking about that a long time ago. I have to reach out to Colombo. So give me some time.
It is it not insane that there has been not one word publicly for Mark Colombo in almost 4 years now?
Yeah, but don't you?
He went from a sought out offensive line coach to no one's heard a word from him in 4 years.
Nah, Colombo is a guy that to me looks like he's just sitting on a porch drinking as much beer as he can with all of his money just in the back seat of his pickup. That's just sitting around doing nothing, loving life.
Dumbo Colombo is what we call him.
So one more thing for both of you. So on this end, so it's softball game. You know, I do the current Giants first, the 42 and 46, and obviously we just talked about, you know, the mixture of former Giants such as my umpiring crew. Give me one name from both of you, and I will try and get that person at the game.
Oh, I have one.
For former Giants or current Giants?
No, current Dex and I will be working on. So it's got to be a former.
Former. Let's see.
I have a former. Right
and
away.
not Colombo.
Go. Justin, go. Yeah.
It's Jay Alford. It's been my dream.
Jay Alfred's at the game, and I'll introduce you to him.
It's my favorite play.
Dak, that's right. I've seen you post that. Jay Alfred, see? Why didn't you come to the freaking dinner this year?
He was there?
The big tip dinner. He sat right next to me, looking for you.
I need to you need to text me like a little bit further in advance. Like, all right, this is when because I will do it and I will promote it with you. So next year I'm in.
I know that, and to be honest, for people listening, I know that it meant a lot to you. I know you like going to those things. It's one of my favorite things I ever do in my life, and I will continue to do it until I'm dead. But
I had dinner with Joe Morris 2 years ago. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, look, Alfred, Casillas, Morris, Pepper, Isaiah Hodgins came, and Wink was supposed to come, but he got held up, and so was DeVito. But that line, they had an offensive lineman dinner that night, so they couldn't come. But I would have got a lot more guys there. But it was good. It was good. So Jay Alfred got you covered. How about you, Bobby?
Mine's going to be impossible. He's not going to come.
All right, so could I guess it?
Yeah. This will give it away. He's technically part of the Super Bowl 42
Eric
team.
Flowers said no already, so I'm hoping it's not him.
He's technically part of the Super Bowl 42 team.
Yeah, so I knew you were going to say Shockey.
Yeah.
So I really did say. So look, every year
I kind of don't want to meet Shockey, like, because I know he would be a meet your heroes type moment because he's.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
so
insane.
every year we talk about it, and every year it doesn't match up with timing. But this year I have roll on it for me, and I'm like, Antro, come on, man, just get him there, just bring him to the airport, just get him on a plane, drive up, do something. I'm finding that I'm having some difficulty with some former players, because their kids are getting to the age where they play travel stuff. And a lot of players are going away for baseball. A lot of I want Lawrence Tynes at my event like you have no idea. But his two boys keep him on the go in the off season with all their sports all over the place. And every year I'm like, how about this year? Nope. How about next year? Nope. And it's tough. It's tough. So
how about Tollefson? Tollefson. He's another guy who's hard to get in one spot for 10 seconds. But how about Tollefson?
He promised me 5 years ago that the next event he would make. This is it.
Well, there you go.
Right, yeah, I'll help push on that one too. You got to be there.
I'll take your two, and Justin, throw in one more since Jay Alfred was already coming.
Throw in one more. Kavika Mitchell,
high-profile guy. You could get a current NFL head coach there. Justin?
I said Kavika Mitchell.
He's coming.
No way.
Can we get the Raiders head coach there?
The Raiders head coach.
That's impossible. I know.
In his own OTAs. He came to one. I doubt he'll be coming anymore until he wins the Super Bowl and retires.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep listing. I'm gonna keep listing these Super Bowl 42 defenders.
I know because they're already coming.
Jabril Wilson.
I love that team so much.
Huh?
Jabril Wilson.
Jabril came 1 year. I haven't spoken to him in a few years. I'll reach out to him. He was a tough one to get, even that first one. Do you want to hear mine?
Who's yours?
Tucker Fredrickson.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob Carpenter. Just for the hell of it.
Okay. Let's get them there. Look. We'll interview Rob Carpenter. How about that?
When Barkley was drafted, I reached out to 30 running backs. 30. Just because I felt I wanted a niche. I wanted all these running backs coming. I got 22 of them there. 22. So Wheatley, Bunch, Tiki, Galbraith, you could go up and down the list and I had 22 running backs there. So I'm hoping to get at least half of those guys back. And depending on who the Giants draft, maybe I'll go for another niche as well.
Tucker Fredrickson
could swing a bat at 65 years old.
Tucker Fredrickson, first overall pick of the 1965 draft, was a Giant from 65 to 71. And the fact that he's 81 years old and he's in is he in Florida?
He's in Florida. How'd you know that? Did it say it?
Well,
on
I'm looking
He's
at his
looking
Pro
at his
Football
Wikipedia.
Reference.
Yeah.
I'm looking at his
that's
Pro
fine.
Football Reference page, and
so
Bobby's
he's-
going to get him up there.
So I really want to get him up there. I do have bad news. Coughlin, unless he surprises us, won't be there. He has his golf outing same weekend. And I said to him when I spoke, I was like, "Can you not take all your players? Because I need them that weekend." And he's like, "Well, good for you. My event is the 19th to 20th. My event's the 18th. So hopefully the guys will travel on the morning of the 19th to get out there."
Well, everyone, make sure to get your tickets. We'll put the link in the description. So to get that, and hey, try and get the best ones now because they will sell out. I actually think this is going to sell out. Maybe I'm being a little overzealous, but I truly think it will. So
Well,
we'll be there. The Giants players will be there. License plate guy will be there. I'm really excited for it.
Two things on that. So one, I do think it's going to sell out because we took away some of the sections. Instead of the stadium going all the way around, we took them off. So you really only have, behind the dugout and 4 on each side. I think it will sell out. Number one.
What if we do sell out and open those sections up after the sellout?
I like it. That's exactly what we planned. See, you're already inside of my head. And the next thing is, please, when you go on to look for tickets at sexydexygame.com, please don't leave the game out. It's not a good site.
Oh God!
Don't.
Oh, I got it.
I
got it. I got it.
Man, it's like looking up the White House back in the day.
I thought you were talking about like leaving the game from your checkout. I was
No.
sexydexygame.com.
All right, sexydexygay.com.
No, what?
Game.com. That's license plate guy. I'm excited. We're pumped to see you. May 17th? May 18th. Be there.
Hey, put that thing out too.
Do you want us to tweet that out? Because we're going to put it on the show. Do you want us to tweet it out too?
No, okay. No, I don't mean that. I meant what did we say? We were going to do a poll on the ugliest game last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, joy.
Honestly, guys, however anybody gets the game out there, sometimes I would be texting with someone like, "Oh, I've never heard of it." Makes me so mad. Like, I never heard of it. Like, if you're in the Giants community, you have to hear of it.
But you don't realize how many people on YouTube have no idea who anything about Twitter or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like there's a
And
lot.
that's a good point.
You forget.
I'm really not.
Sometimes we'll think about how many people listen to the show, and then you go in the stadium, and you're like, all of these people, our listenership would just be like this little chunk right here, and then all the people who aren't at the game, you forget how many Giants fans there are. So
I know.
So we're gonna get it out there. We're gonna sell that thing out. License plate guy. Thanks as always.
Yeah, no doubt, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, license plate guy, for coming on the show. Make sure to get your tickets. We're going to be there. I don't know we got to talk with LPG a little more to figure out what our involvement will be, but we're going to be there, shaking babies and kissing hands. So Justin, Friday we're going to have Jordan Renan on the pod, so to hear everything that he's heard from Indy, so that'll be fun. So we will see you then. Sorry that the pod came out a little late too, by the way. It was the first time I think we went later than what the pod was scheduled in history, but we couldn't interview LPG on Monday, and I didn't feel like throwing out a positional review at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, and also, it's good to talk about the Joe Schoen presser.
Yeah. All right, so that's an episode. We'll be back on Friday with Jordan Renan. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.